So we're going to talk about endpoint protection for remote users and how to rapidly detect, contain, and respond to those threats. We've been talking about working from home and working remotely. One of the things that we want to make sure that people consider is endpoint protection. So what is endpoint protection? To a lot of people, it may be they're thinking antivirus, right? Well, endpoint protection is antivirus is a piece of it, but it does a whole lot more. We're thinking the ability to detect issues, contain the issue, and be able to respond to that when something happens. What happened? What was executed? Where did this come from? One of the things that I get a lot from people is how does this happen? Why did this happen? Well, the good thing about endpoint protection, it will tell you all those things. How it does it very similar in some ways because it does have an antivirus, but it's also a whole lot more. It's doing hash and file analysis. Is this a known problem that other people have experienced? So we're getting threat intelligence into that endpoint. It's a piece of software that's residing on that individual desktop, laptop, any type of device that's going to run the operating system. Mac, Windows, Linux-based operating systems. So that's the operating systems that we're discussing here today. Polymorphic file activity, meaning that the file starts changing once you start utilizing it. That's a big indicator. It's going to detect those types of events. Exploits. Suddenly it's attached itself into your browser. Stuff that we associate with malware, right? So that's all in things that it's going to do to prevent the incidents from happening. So people are, again, thinking more traditional antivirus type of an event. So once it does detect this thing, what does it do? So it's logging all the activity. It's logging all the activity that's at the system's opening, all the local systems processes, all those things. It's going through the task manager of sorts of what's happening to your system, even all the automated stuff. So all the different vulnerabilities that your system has, from what version of Office suite you're using, if you're using Microsoft products, if you're using Adobe products, is there a known issue? You don't have to go out and do all your due diligence to find out that there's a CVE, a common vulnerability and exposure it already exists out there for Adobe Data Center or Adobe version 11 that maybe you've installed, and there's a known vulnerability that you will be attacked from by utilizing and exploiting that because you went to this website and you downloaded this particular file, or you just had an image that was downloaded on your system, or you clicked an email link. Those types of things, it will also be looking and telling your dashboard, hey, you need to update these devices, you need these system updates. This is all part of endpoint protection. Cognitive stuff, things that it knows that Word is not supposed to open up a PowerShell and run executed commands. It's going to be looking at the command line and saying, hey, these commands were actually being run from PowerShell on your system, when in reality they know that is a complete anomaly on how you typically operate. They notice you're not a developer opening PowerShell, that this was an automated response. things that are not typical of a user's typical behavior. It's analyzing all that information, and it's also analyzing it with every single person within your organization, and also people throughout the world who are using the same type of endpoint protection. It's a constant share of information that your system's being updated. Even when you're offline, it's still going to track all that information, and it's going to upload at the moment that you also are connected. If it's already a known issue and you're not connected to the internet, it's going to protect you from the existing stuff that's there as well. So if you're not online, the protection doesn't go down. It's not like Star Trek where the shields go completely down if we're not in this particular sector. It continues to protect you regardless of whether you're connected or not. So there's an actual infection. There's a 0-day that comes out. Once it happens and the polymorphic activity happens, there's PowerShell commands. It's going to isolate that endpoint from the rest of the endpoints within the organization. So if you are working from home, any files and stuff that you've updated, it's going to prevent those files from being accessed by the rest of your organization. If you're in the same network as other folks, it's going to prevent your system from moving laterally across the network. It's going to isolate your system. It's going to flag your administrators, let you know this system's compromised. If you have some type of a multi-factor authentication integration, it's going to prevent you from even logging into the VPN to your organization. It can stop you from even logging into your system depending on what options your organization has picked. So very powerful software. Very easy also to remediate. Hey, what happened? So we looked at the logs, very easy to search. We move it over into the analysis stage, and we can say, oh, he downloaded this email, they clicked on this link, it went out to this server, and then executed the code. It started stealing files and started to upload it from here. And then it tells you, typically that type of activity would have been blocked. But if it did, it's going to log, it's going to show all the communication, it's going to show what happened. It created these entries in your registry, it deleted these registry entries, it modified these, so you have a complete remediation plan on how to put Jack back in the box if you decide to do so. Some people, there's just so many things to do, it's easier just to re-image the machine. But it does give you a plan exactly what took place, what was modified, what happened, and so you have a remediation plan. So that's a lot of what endpoint protection is. It does a whole lot more. There's other things to go, but I'm not going to go too deep in it, but I want to give you a general idea of what endpoint protection is and what it can do for you. Thank you so much. Have a good day.